Does all this extra real estate mean extra worries for you? Or can you do this? Can you make it look easy? And can you enjoy yourself? So we're running Volvo D6 IPS 650s on this boat. So they are forward-facing counter-rotational propellers that can move 30 degrees either side of center and give you amazing maneuverability. We'll cover that later in the video. They've actually got 480 horsepower, but they call it 650 because it's the equivalent of 650 horsepower on a shaft. So that's what's going on there. The way they are mounted give you excellent efficiency in terms of water flow underneath the hull, and then they also give you good fuel efficiency underway. So for those of you coming from an outboard or a stern drive, it is a different drive system, but it gives you very good maneuverability and it allows you to operate the boat short-handed, which I suspect is something that you are looking for. So you go from there. Next thing, you're going to have to think about taking off the covers. This boat, because it's a Flybridge, there's one cover over the entire Flybridge that you can take off if you intend to go up there, but because we're dual helm, you don't have to. So if the weather sucks, or if you don't intend, or if you can't be bothered, just drive from the lower helm because you have the choice. So you can take that cover off, take the seat cover off out the back, and essentially open this door and you're ready to go. That's really a 3-minute procedure. It's not a great deal of time. So if you're a busy person, like I suspect you are, that's what you got to factor in. Next thing, you come up here into the control panel and just switch all the batteries on. So that's everything from genset to engine batteries and service. That's in Portuguese. I promise they'll do it in English. If you're going to buy it for Australia, America, or elsewhere, don't worry. Once all the power is on, activate the genset. Activate the genset, allow that to fire up. It's just a simple press of the start button and it will do the rest for you. And when you have power pumping and available to you, you will see that on the board up here. And all you need to do is switch over from shore power to generator, okay? And again, they'll do that in English for you. Once you're taking the power from the generator, it's time to disconnect from the shore power, and that's going to be in this location over here. Single cable, right in here, disconnect, leave that on the dock in a safe place, and you're ready to go. So a boat like this is going to be startup time, if you're well organized, in under 5 minutes. This just feels like a proper coastal cruiser, guys. I had to come up here to the Flybridge and give you a bit of an experience because it's too nice not to up here. So I'm just coming through at about 25 knots, doing a little bit of navigation past these rocks here. So I'll just concentrate for a second whilst I go past some beautiful rocks and then in between some others. Don't try this at home if you haven't scoped it out first. Let me just do the nav. Beautiful. Hope you enjoy the view. 21 knots. I'll call out the fuel flow in a second. There we go. That's the rock I was concerned for. I'm all clear. All right, just doing 149 litres at the moment and cruising at 21 knots. The wind is bearable, but it is a proper 25 knot day today. But it's just a beautiful place to drive from up here. So I had to give you this experience. And what I'm going to do is head downstairs before we actually before we head back upwind. So 21 knots, I'm doing 140 to 150 litres. I'm going to accelerate a little bit, 22. Haven't played with the trim tabs. Okay, 180 litres at 25 knots. Just going to run downwind for a little bit. 27. This hull feels fantastic. This is actually a really, really solid little hull. I shouldn't say little, she's 45 feet. It feels like a proper coastal cruiser, I would be so happy. We've been bashing through short and sharp waves on the way to get to this shoot location. Hopefully you can see the white caps out on the sea, and it really is, it feels solid from the Flybridge, it feels solid from downstairs. I'm maintaining 27 knots now at a comfortable fuel flow between 160 and 170, and now I'm just going to give it wide open, 27 and climbing, raising my trim tabs, just heading out to sea there, 28 knots, lovely. Now I'm in the choppy stuff, 28 and a half, 186 litres consumption, 186 litres consumption going downwind, 28 knots, super nice. The visibility is epic. I can communicate from people. I'm thoroughly enjoying this actually, guys. So if you've come from that sports cruiser experience or an outboard powered boat, I think you're going to get a great deal of value operating a boat from up here. So let's start to slow it down and bank it into the waves, and then I'm going to cut straight to the lower helm, as you probably would, because it's going to get colder and more wind affected. So you might as well go and enjoy it. Here we go, let's do it. Okay, so I've just quickly switched to the lower helm, as I think you guys probably would too when you have to beat into it. We've got about 20 plus knots of wind up ahead. I've just put a little bit of trim tab down. Again, lower that nose, expose some more cutting action at the front of the boat or the hull to part the waves so you don't have to bounce around too much. I've also lowered my speed, so I'm just sitting on around about 20 knots at that 150 litres per hour consumption. I've got all the doors closed and I've got air conditioning here at the helm just wafting onto me. But if I wanted to, I could open this window or that window just there to get some ventilation into the cabin. As you always do on this style of boat, I've got a loss of visibility here and there. Not the end of the world with the big one-piece windscreen giving me epic visibility this way, and if I really had a blind spot that I was worried about, all I do is lie back in the seat and I've got a clear line of sight to cover that spot, so it's not the end of the world. I would definitely drive from the seated position down here. It seems logical and designed for that. The seat goes forward and aft, so I know you know, you probably do, I've got short legs, I've put the seat all the way forward. So I'll show you how much space we have in the walkthrough, separate video, if you're concerned about that. If you want to eat up some miles, I suspect this is probably one of those areas you'll do it very, very comfortably, except for on the nice days when you just head upstairs like we did before. So that's pretty cool. I'm just going to slow the boat down now because again, lots of you have been asking me what is the consumption for range. So let's just do that right now. So coming through 13 knots, 12 knots, seeing 88, 89 litres an hour, making a huge big wave behind me. So it's probably not the most efficient speed. Let's just let that dissipate a little bit and just feel the boat out. I've got trim tabs down, 10 knots, 81 litres. Again, offensive waves, but you can maintain that offshore and eat up some miles without bothering people. Let's just see what happens when we really bleed off that final bit of speed. Okay, look at that. 9.7 knots. We've really lost a lot of that stern wave. She doesn't feel inefficient anymore, and I'm burning 55 litres an hour. So if you had some miles to eat up, I would suggest that's probably going to be where the boat's most comfortable in terms of your return of speed. We'll just go down to 8 knots and see what happens for some of you sailors who like to go slower. And look at that, down below 40 litres per hour at 8.5. Well, actually, I'm still nudging 9 knots there, and that's into the wind. So yeah, somewhere in that 8 to 9 knots for long distance cruise. She's certainly a boat I would do that on. I'm just really impressed with the solid feel that I'm getting at every part of this boat as I make my way up onto the Flybridge, to the back of the Flybridge and all the way around. She feels solid. They've built quite a lot of these 450s. So if you want to do a little bit of cruising, this is perhaps a boat to think about. Now let's cut to some shallow water. We'll drop the anchor and bring you along with us. Okay, so we found our anchorage for the day. A bit of a windy, gusty spot, but absolutely beautiful and protected from the swell. So what we're going to do, we're actually anchoring today using the lower helm. We have the option to anchor from up on the Flybridge, and we can also operate it from the bow. But because of the design of this lower helm and the fact that it's quite windy, I'm actually just going to use the lower helm because I've got straight line visibility to my chain and bow roller. Not all Flybridges of this type give you that visibility because those sun lounges and the pillows or backrests that they put at the back of them might block your direct line of sight from the lower helm, so it would make more sense to go to the Flybridge, whereas on this one it's not necessary. So quite simple, as long as the safety's off up on the bow, I've already checked that, and the anchor is activated on the panel and you have power to it, I just press the release, down on the button, and away we go. So what did you think of that one, guys? She's quite an eye-opener from what I've just experienced. As you can see, the conditions that we're dealing with here are challenging for many boats with gusts over 25 knots. I really do believe this is a boat you would consider if you were looking at the Princess F45. Straight away, it's a lovely build, nice through the chop, comfortable as a coastal cruiser in my opinion. So if the layout suits you, separate video, look that up on my channel if you haven't seen it. I do think it's worth your attention. She's solid, she feels good through the waves, and she's sensible and predictable for anyone who's coming from a sports cruiser or an outboard powered boat. This does seem like a logical step up to allow you to spend more time out on the water. So check it out. If you want to see some of the competition, that's going to be coming up on the screen right now. Get up there and compare it. And if you want to see what I believe could be some of the compromises, that's another video. I'm filming that now and it's going to be on my Patreon channel. So see you over there if you want to see what could be considered the compromises and my thoughts on the possible improvements. Like every boat, they all have them. See you on the Patreon.